Beneficial Ownership Information, or BOI reporting. Never heard of it? Well, it's only one of the most important regulatory changes affecting the business community, and that includes nonprofits. Does your nonprofit need to worry about this? Maybe it does, or maybe it doesn't. Stick around after the intro, and we're going to dive deep into this new headache for nonprofits. Hi, this is Greg McRae, founder and CEO of Foundation Group, and welcome back to our 501c3 University channel, where we strive to make nonprofit compliance understandable. We'd love it if you'd hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe too, and that way you can know when we premiere new videos. It helps our channel's visibility as well, and we really appreciate it. So what exactly is Beneficial Ownership Information, or BOI? Well, it all stems from the Corporate Transparency Act, or the CTA, which was passed as part of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. It's actually one of the most consequential regulatory changes in years, and it has significant implications for all business types, including nonprofits. The rules mandate new federal reporting requirements aimed at combating money laundering, financing of terrorism, and other illicit activities. Essentially, BOI rules refer to regulatory requirements that businesses disclose information about who ultimately owns or controls them. Under the CTA, many corporations, LLCs, and other entities created in or registered to do business in the U.S. must report certain information about their beneficial owners to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN. Now, already some of you are complaining out loud to your screen, "Ownership? I thought nonprofits didn't have any owners." Or, "Financial crimes? What are we talking about here? We haven't committed a crime." Stick with me and this will make a lot more sense, and we'll get to the nonprofit part shortly. First, let's discuss who a beneficial owner is. A beneficial owner is typically defined as any individual who, directly or indirectly, exercises substantial control over an entity or owns or controls at least 25% of the ownership interest in that entity. The purpose of these rules is to enhance transparency and making it harder for individuals to use complex corporate structures to conceal illegal activities. The word control is key here. Just like the hypothetical objection I raised a minute ago, a nonprofit technically doesn't have owners, right? We've talked a lot about that on this channel. It does, however, have those who control it, namely the officers and board members. Now, I recognize this has the potential to be confusing, but FinCEN has determined that this rule applies to some nonprofits, so let's look at those requirements. So what exactly are the filing requirements for BOI? Well, starting this past January 1st, 2024, impacted entities will need to provide FinCEN with two things. One, the full legal name, date of birth, personal address, and a unique identifying number from an acceptable document, such as a passport or a driver's license, for each beneficial owner. For a nonprofit, we're talking about each and every officer and or director. Second, you must report the details of the entity itself, including its business purpose and ownership structure. Reports must be filed upon the creation of a new entity or when changes occur in beneficial ownership. Since this is the first year, FinCEN is giving existing organizations 90 days from January 1 to file. If you're doing the calendar math, you know that deadline is already passed. Now, rumor has it they're giving an additional 90 days grace, which would extend the deadline until June 30, but even that date is fast approaching. New organizations, including nonprofits, have 90 days from the date of formation to file their BOI. For all affected entities, changes to BOI must be reported within 30 days of the change. And just in case you thought maybe this wasn't serious, failure to comply can result in substantial civil penalties of up to $500 per day, indexed to inflation. It just so happens that we currently are enjoying a lot of inflation lately, and that amount is already indexed up to $591 per day. I am not kidding. On top of that, to quote from FinCEN's website, a person who willfully violates the BOI reporting requirements may also be subject to criminal penalties of up to 2 years imprisonment and a fine of up to $10,000. Got your attention yet? So how does this affect nonprofits? As I've already stated, FinCEN has determined that nonprofits are not automatically exempted from BOI reporting requirements. Therefore, nonprofits must be aware of these new rules, particularly those registered as corporations. Now, there is good news, however. Nonprofits can be exempted from the FinCEN updates. The key issue here is the existence of a 501c3 determination letter. If you have one, your nonprofit is not liable for future BOI updates. If it does not have a determination letter, then it is fully liable to comply with the rules. So how does this impact new nonprofits? Well, the first step in creating a new nonprofit is to set up your corporation at the state level. That immediately kicks off an initial BOI reporting requirement. You simply must do this. And if your beneficial ownership information changes prior to you receiving 501c3 status, you have 30 days to update your information just like any other business. I think this will be especially impactful to new nonprofits that don't yet have 501c3 status. They're prone to frequent changes of officers and directors in the first year or two of existence. Another thing we've talked a lot about here on this channel is 501c3 revocation. That's when the IRS revokes the 501c3 status of a nonprofit that fails to file Form 990 for 3 consecutive years. And if that happens to your nonprofit, it immediately must update its BOI filing to indicate that it is no longer exempt from the reporting requirements. Churches are another issue altogether. Another thing we've talked a lot about is the fact that churches are automatically considered 501c3 organizations, even if they never filed or received an official determination letter. Now, we believe most should file, and you can look at some of our videos on that subject linked in the description below. But does that automatic 501c3 status affect the beneficial ownership information rules? Surprisingly, it does not. FinCEN has ruled that churches operating under a provisional status of 501c3, or even those that claim to not be a 501c3, if they do not have an IRS determination letter of 501c3 status, they are liable for BOI reporting. So what are some strategies to manage this new reality? Well, first, understand the applicability. Nonprofits should assess whether they fall under the CTA's purview or if they are eligible for any exemptions. Second, maintain detailed and accessible records of all beneficial owners as defined under the CTA. Third, seek advice. Given the complexities of the CTA, consulting with experts who specialize in nonprofit compliance can provide tailored guidance and ensure compliance. And finally, update your BOI regularly if you have to. Unless and until your nonprofit has official 501c3 status, it is liable for BOI compliance. So what's the wrap on this? Do not get caught thinking this is not a big deal. It is. The introduction of the new BOI rules marks a big shift in the regulatory requirements. It will impact tens of thousands of nonprofits. While these rules aim to increase transparency and combat money laundering, they also present new challenges for nonprofits in terms of compliance and operational adjustments. Understanding these rules, assessing their impact on your organization, and taking proactive steps toward compliance will be crucial for nonprofits moving forward. The cost of non-compliance is simply too great. Well, I hope you found this information helpful, if not a little scary. All I can say is please take this seriously. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for watching. Now go serve your community. Hey, do me a favor and don't navigate away just yet. We would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button below, as it really helps get our content recommended to more people. Subscribe if you haven't already, as we have great content coming your way on a regular basis. Finally, you can click the little bell icon to be notified of new content when we post it. To learn more about Foundation Group, you can visit us on the web at www.501c3.org. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.